Hey guys, Nick from Evolve Skateboards here again. Today we're going to be showing you how to remove the battery from your GT series Evolve safely and disconnecting it from the motor control so we can do so. For this, the tools you're going to need are these two Allen keys out of your Evolve toolkit. If you have a carbon board, you're going to want the 2.5mm Allen key, which is this little one here. That'll undo the battery case screws for the carbon. If you have a bamboo board, you're going to want this Allen key, which has a 1/8 Allen key bit on the end of it. Alternatively, you can use a drill with a 1/8 bit if you have a bamboo, or a drill with a 2.5mm Allen key bit if you have the carbon. So you'll need the small Allen key from your toolkit. This will undo the screws on the top of the deck for you. For this exercise, we're going to be using the drill just to speed things up a little bit. Now we can remove the battery case and we have access to the battery and all the connectors relating to it. So now, once we have access to the battery and its connectors, the first thing we need to do is isolate the battery power from the motor controller. That is by disconnecting this main power connector here, which simply pulls apart like such. Make sure that power connector is out of the way. Next, we do need to disconnect the charging port cable. That's simply here, and again, it just pulls apart. Now the next two connectors are the UART and the battery switch. The UART cable is a battery communication cable, so we need to be very careful with this one. It does have a clip underneath the connector. We can use a small Allen key from our toolkit to do this. Simply slide it under, pushing the connector up, so we can remove the connector, exposing the clip. And do the same thing again for the battery switch connector. And it comes out like such. As you can see, the battery is now isolated from the motor controller completely. We can slide under one side. Be careful when you're doing this not to bend the battery. We need to keep the battery nice and straight, lifting it up from one side only, not from the end. And it simply comes out of the case. So reinstalling the battery is simply in reverse of how we've just removed it. Putting one edge in first, and then back down, again being careful not to bend the battery on installation either. Keeping the power cables out of the way, reinstall the connectors in the reverse order that we removed them from. So first we have the battery switch connector going in, and wait for it to click. You should hear that click to make sure it is securely connected into the motor controller. Next is the UART. Again, you can hear that click. Then we can plug in our charging port over here. Just pushes in. Tuck that into its wire anchor. Finally, we can plug in the main power connector to the motor controller. So we slide this connector underneath the UART and the battery switch cables. Secure the wiring and its anchor points. And that's your battery reinstalled into your GT series board. If you have a bamboo GT, it is a fairly similar process. Once you have the battery case off, to remove the battery case on your bamboo, you need to remove the 8 bolts through the deck holding the case on, using the Allen key from your toolkit. Unscrew them, and they come out like so. To speed things up, I'm just going to use a drill for this exercise. You want to make sure the case doesn't drop down freely. Support it with your hand while you undo the last of the screws and gently let the case down. Once all the screws are out and the case is down, you can see the motor controller, the battery and all the wiring inside. It's very much the same as the carbon model. To install the battery case, it's simply the reverse process, making sure we don't pinch the wires in the back as we're holding the battery case back up to the board. So make sure they're in their slots. Just putting the screws back through the deck, tighten up one end first, and then the opposite end. That secures the battery case in, and we know it's not going to fall out. From there, We can then work freely with both our hands. You can either use your tool or a drill and tighten up the remaining battery case screws.